Dear students of 9th standard, we'll start with one more poem, that is The Village School Master from English First Language. So here the poet is Oliver Goldsmith. Before going to the poem, we'll know few facts about the background of this poem. Here the poem is the extract from a long poem, that is The Deserted Village, and we can also see that this is the experience of the poet which is recollected in this poem, wherein the poet tries to picturize his own schoolmaster, or is explaining about the schoolmaster, especially in a rural background. The school which is situated in the rural area, and the poet goes on explaining about the school that is maintained by a strict schoolmaster, and he was very strict when it came to the children or regarding his lessons, but he was also a person who is to enjoy with the children. But when it came to the children who were not very much systemized regarding their studies, then he used to be a strict person. So here one thing is important, that the poet is trying to picturize his own experience. So we will come to know what is being written there when we go through the poem. So before going to the poem, I would just like to ask you few questions, that you are already into your high school. So you have studied from the nursery up to here, one more year in your high schooling, but you might have met many teachers. Many teachers have tried to mold you, or you might have many favorite teachers, or you might have had a best teacher in your life. So even you keep recalling. Do you do that? You keep recalling about the teacher who was best in your previous years, or you may have some teachers who are teaching you now and they have influenced you a lot in making you a very studious student, or who have influenced you in making you a person who sit and study well and aim in a very positive way, or you think in a very positive way, and you may have your own aim in your life. So this is what is the bondage of a teacher and the student. One or the other way, you might have been influenced by your teacher. Have you not? Yes. So thus you also keep recalling those teachers, or you may have a great concern to such teachers. Later in your life also, that teacher may be having a great place, or you may respect those teachers a lot. In the same way, you can also express your gratitude towards those teachers in different ways. So here you can see that the poet has experienced a lot in his student life, and he has put forth his respect or his experience with this teacher in this poem. Before going to the poem, we will know few aspects or few things about the poet. Oliver Goldsmith, this is a picture of the poet, was born in Longfield and was educated at the Trinity College, Dublin. He was awarded the degree of Doctor of Medicine. So he has done his degree in medicine. but he never practiced as a doctor. He never practiced as a doctor, means he did not get into that profession. His major works are The Traveller 1764, Vicar of Wakefield 1766, The Deserted Village 1770. So here, this is what is the work I told. So the present poem what we are learning is the extract from this long work of the poet, and She Stoops to Conquer in 1773. This extract gives a character sketch of the village schoolmaster who taught the villagers there. So here mainly we are learning about the character or the personality of the village schoolmaster who taught in the village to those villagers. It also gives an account of the views of the children and of the villagers of Auburn about the schoolmaster. So where was the school placed? It was in the village of Auburn or the village Auburn. There the students and the villagers, they had great respect, and also they were really having lots of views about the schoolmaster. All those views have been penned down in this poem, and the poet is giving us a message regarding that village schoolmaster, or we come to know about the personality or the character of that village schoolmaster. So this is a poem which has been taken, or it is extract of the long work of, or the long writing of the poet, that is The Deserted Village. So now we will start with the poem. So I will read the lines, listen to the pronunciation and the reading, and we will go on with the explanation line by line. Beside yon straggling fence that skirts the way, with blossomed firs unprofitably gay, there in his mansion skill to rule, the village master taught his little school. A man severe he was and stern to view. I knew him well, and every truant knew. Well had the boding tremblers learned to trace the day's disasters in his morning face. So everything tells about the personality of the schoolmaster. So before going to the explanation, the ending words you can just observe there: way, gay, rule, school, view, new, trace, face. So we have already discussed in the other poems also, the words are called as rhyming words. This is important when it comes to your exam purpose, and as you are learning language, all these aspects helps you enhance your vocabulary. So all these words are called as rhyming words. Beside yon straggling fence that skirts the way. Straggling. So straggling is nothing but spread out. Yon is over there. Beside, over there. Straggling, spread out. Spread out fence that skirts the way. Means there was a fenced area which is covered with the fence. It was spread out, or it was not in a very proper situation. And where is that fence? That skirts the way. Skirts means goes round. Skirts the way means it goes round the way, means the path. So it goes round the way. So it is in a place, there is a place which is covered with fence. The fence is not in a very good position, but it is there, and it skirts the way. Means skirts again goes round. Means you might have heard outskirts. Outskirts means the outer border of any area. In the same way, this fence that also skirts the way. It is at a particular place, or it has gone round. Gone round, what? You will come to know. With blossomed firs, unprofitably gay. So, here the fence, what does it have? It has got some plants. It has got some plants or small grasses. Firs is nothing but the grass. So, how is the fence? It is not in a proper position, but there is a fence, and that fence, it skirts the way, means it goes around the way, and the fence is formed with the grass, and that grass is blossomed. Blossom means it has got small flowers. It has got flowers in it. The flowers are blossomed. Blossomed is aralud. So, here there are flowers, and unprofitably gay. Unprofitably gay means no one has much interest in it. The fence is there, then there are flowers in that grass, but no one is much bothered about that. Unprofitably gay. Because when you see a good fence with lots of flower and which is maintained well, you feel happy. But here it is somehow growing by itself. There are some flowers. No one is bothered about that. There in his mansion, skill to rule. So, there is somebody in his mansion. Mansion means actually a very big building or a palace. But here the mansion is the school. Skill to rule. Skill to rule means a person who is very well trained to rule. Rule here is to manage the school. The village master taught his little school. The village master taught his little school means the teacher in that school. He used to teach the students in that school. A man severe he was and stern to view. So, how was that man? He was very severe. Severe means strict. He was strict and stern to view. Even when it came to his views or the way he used to teach the children or to manage the school, so there also he was very strict. I knew him well and every truant knew. So, I also personally knew him well, means I was very well known about his characters, and the truant knew. Truant is one who stays away from school without permission, means the children who don't attend the school properly. Without permission they go out to roam or they take leave. Such children were also there. They also knew that the schoolmaster was very strict when it came to his teaching or when it came to the behavior of the children. But even then the students used to take leave without the permission of the village master. Well, at the boarding tremblers learn to trace. Who's that boarding? Predicting. Trembler means a person trembling. Well, at the boarding tremblers learn to trace. Trace is mark. Even then, the predictions that were made, predicting means predictions. They knew before in hand what would happen. And boarding tremblers. Tremblers means the students who have not attended the class or who have taken the, leave without permission. They all knew or they all predicted what will happen, the trace, what will be the, problem. Well, had the boarding tremblers learned to trace. Even then they used to go out and they all used to come to know what would happen or what will be the situation. The day's disasters in his morning face. So, after taking that leave, they have come back or they have come after so many days. So, they could predict Who could predict? The tremblers. Tremblers means who have gone out of the school without permission, and they also learned to trace. How did they come to know? From the trace on the face of whom? On the face of the schoolmaster. The day's disasters in his morning face. Means next day when they came, what and all disasters can happen. Day's disaster is misfortune they have to face on that day. The happenings. The teacher can scold them, or the teacher can hit them properly, or again he may give some other punishment. Everything they could know, they could predict by seeing the trace, or they could trace it. How? On the face. On the face. Whose face? The face of the schoolmaster. So this is important. Well, at the boarding, tremblers learn to trace. Boarding is here predicting. Who is predicting here? The tremblers means who are there in the school, but before few days they have taken leave without the consent of the teacher. They have come back and they are able to trace. They are able to know. That is, they were able to mark it, know that today something is going to happen. So what is going to happen? That was seen on the face of the teacher in the morning when they came to the school. Full well they laughed with counterfeited glee. At all his jokes, for many a joke had he. Full well the busy whisper circling round conveyed the dismal tidings when he frowned. Yet he was kind, or if severe in aught. The love he bore to learning was in fault. The village all declared how much he knew. It was certain he could write and cipher too. So again, the way he used to be with the children. Full well they laughed with counterfeited glee. Counterfeited glee means pretending joy. So when the sir used to be, or the teacher used to be in the class, they all used to laugh with full way, or in a immense way, completely involved. So they used to laugh as if they are completely involved in the class, but here you can see it was a pretending joy. It was not that completely they were involved. Even then they used to show that they are very happy and they used to laugh or enjoy. At all his jokes. So why they used to laugh like that? Why were they pretending as if they are very happy, or they are in a situation full of joy at the jokes that was told by the teacher? At all his jokes. For many a joke had he. So he used to also tell many jokes in the class. Even though he was a very severe teacher or a very strict teacher, he also used to crack jokes in the class. So the children used to laugh and sometimes pretend as if they are in a very enjoying situation. Full well the busy whisper circling round. So when the teacher used to take class, they used to involve a lot. With that, there used to be a busy whisper, means they used to pass on messages to each other or speak in a very low tone, and whatever they used to speak, that used to go on in the class, or they used to go on passing in the class. That is nothing but the circling round. Conveyed the dismal tidings when he frowned. So when he was frowned, what is the meaning of the word frowned, or what is the meaning of the words dismal tidings? Dismal is miserable. When he frowned is to look displeased. Conveyed the dismal tidings when he frowned. So what were they whispering? They used to whisper and pass on the message when they felt that their teacher is in a, what is that? Miserable situation. Dismal tidings, miserable information. Sometimes they used to find the jokes very interesting. Sometimes they used to not enjoy it, or sometimes they used to feel that whatever is he telling is fine, but they used to also come to know that the teacher is not very happy with them. So when they came to know that, that is when he frowned means when he was displeased with them, that time also what happened? Whatever they felt, they used to just go on whispering to each other. Yet he was kind, or if severe in aught. So even then he was kind, yet he was kind, or if severe in aught in any degree. Sometimes he was very kind and sometimes used to be very severe to such a degree, or used to be very strict. The love he bore to learning was in fault. The love he bore to learning was in fault. So when he used to get disturbed is when he made the children read, or the love he bore to learning was in fault, when they disturbed him. So he used to go on explaining them, he used to go on teaching, and when this situation was disturbed, or when it was in fault, when they were not responding to this, so that time what happened? He used to be very severe. So see here, yet he was kind, or if severe in aught, the love he bore to learning was in fault. So when he used to become very severe to such a degree, when he came to know that whatever he was trying to teach them, or their interest towards learning is being disturbed, then he was getting very severe. The village all declared how much he knew. So all the people there, the villagers, they all told, or they all had declared that he knew so much. Means he was a well learned person. He had so much of knowledge. It was certain he could write and cipher too. So everyone knew that, or it was certainly known to everyone that he could write and cipher too. Cipher is code, secret message. So he can tell anything. He can explain things, he can pass on the message, he can code the aspects. So he was considered as a knowledgeable person or a very intelligent person in that village. Lands he could measure, terms and tides presage, and even the story ran that he could gauge. In arguing too, the person owned his skill, for even though vanquished, he could argue still. While words of learned length and thundering sound amazed the gazing rustics ranged around. And still they gazed, and still the wonder grew, that one small head could carry all he knew. So even in this paragraph and also the previous paragraph, you had rhyming words here: presage, gauge, skill, still, sound, around, grew, new. So here you see that the people of the village, they feel how much he knows things. So what could he do? Lands he could measure. He could tell the measure of the land. Terms and tides presage. So he could explain the terms or the tides. Presage means foretell. He could tell about certain terms or about the tides. Presage means foretell, means tell it before. So he was such a knowledgeable person. And even the story ran that he could gauge. So he could, measure everything. The story ran that he could gauge means he could come to know. He could measure or he could come to know everything that would happen, or he would explain that has happened in a detailed way. In arguing too, the person owned his skill. So, in arguing about something, arguing means going on giving that is information or telling about that, explaining about the situation. So, that is called as arguing, maybe in a positive way or in a negative way. He was also very good in that. He owned the skill. He was very skillful in that. He used to tell his views about any situation in a very skillful manner. For even though vanquished, he could argue still. What is the meaning of the word vanquished? That is defeat. Even though he was defeated sometimes when he went on arguing, even though he felt that no, whatever he is telling is not in a proper way, even though if that is the situation, he could argue still. He could continue that argument, means he had so much of knowledge, the language, the words. So, he went on adding even though he felt that he is being defeated. While words of learned length and thundering sound. So, how could he argue even though he came to know that he is defeated? So, he had lots of words. What type of words? The lengthy words. Learned length. Learned is having acquired. He had acquired so much of knowledge. He had so much of words. His vocabulary was good. He had so much of knowledge of words. And the thundering sound, the way he used to explain, the sound of his explanation. So, this made him a very capable person. Amazed, the gazing rustics ranged around. So, all the people there who used to be in the surroundings, they used to be amazed. Amazed means very surprised, very astonished. So, all those people who were gazing at him, gazing is to look steadily. Who were gazing at him? The rustics means the villagers, the rural people. So, they used to be there. Range means of different variety or varied people. Vary means the people who know a lot or they don't know anything. A person who is very quiet, maybe a person who is very strong. So, there were many people there, different type of people. So, they were in a varied range. They all used to stand and gaze at him around. Standing around, everyone used to see at him or look at him steadily. And still they gazed and still the wonder grew. They went on seeing or looking at him. So, as they went on looking at him, still the wonder grew. Means there were so many questions in their mind. Wondering how this person is knowing so many things. He knows so much. He talks so much. And thus, there was lots of questions in their mind. What is that question? You can see one question, that one small head could carry all he knew. So, what was their wonder or the question? It is a small head. He has also got only head, isn't it? Only one head as all people have. So, even though he has got one head, small head, how could he carry all he knew? How can he keep it in his mind? How can his brain work like this? Whatever he knows, he keeps everything in his brain or in his mind and he goes on telling. He is ready to give you any type of suggestion, any information, any argument, and he is the person who is going to win. So, this was a big wonder the village people had in their mind. So, the village schoolmaster had his own position in that village. He was considered as a very learned person, a knowledgeable person, and thus he influenced the students in the school and also the people in that village. Especially when it comes to village or rural background, you see people giving a lots of respect to the teachers, and in the previous days or in the olden days, the teacher was an important part when it came to the people of the villages in taking decisions regarding their children or sometimes regarding their problems. So they had a very respectable place. And even now, when it comes to the rural areas, the teacher has got his own place in the life of the village people. So here you can see the influence of that school master was not only on the students of that village but also on the villagers of that village. So they had so many questions about him, and sometimes they used to go and discuss their problems with him, and he was considered as a great person in that village. So thus the teacher is a person who influences the life of everyone, and he is considered one of the best persons in our life, or we always try to give the place in our life to the teacher almost equal to our parents. Now what I want you all to do is read the lines again and again and see the rhyming words and also the way the poem is written or it is expressed. Thank you.